What's up, everybody? It's Rick from Only Football. Kyle and I are bringing you another great episode of what's going on free agency. Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets? I don't know. We'll see. It hasn't been made yet. And will OBJ sign with a team finally? And we give you our 3 sleeper free agent signings from this free agent period that we think people are sleeping on. Let's get it.
Welcome to the free agency madness. I'm Kyle. That's Rick. We have 11 days until we have a Christmas tree up in April. How's it going?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I belong on this show more than that tree. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. I love the Christmas tree.
He didn't mean it. Don't make me hug a tree in the middle of our podcast.
I will make you do it. We got Liam in the chat. I do random stuff in the chat. Wow, that's cool. I love it. It's random. I love it. But like Kyle said, more craziness in free agency for the NFL. And I mean, while free agency is the hot topic, an even hotter topic, Kyle, and you've talked about it on Only Football with Kyle, is Aaron Rodgers on the Jets yet? He already said... Go ahead.
Sorry. He's not on the Jets yet. There is some sort of... look, we're not in the room having the meetings, but we don't have to be. This is pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
This is a compensation thing. Packers want a first-round draft pick. Jets don't want to give a first-round draft pick. Some people have been offended in the Packers fan base, and they've even unfollowed Pat McAfee, a lot of Tom Grassi people, who Tom Grassi and Pat McAfee got into Twitter beef yesterday, if you didn't see that.
Really?
Yeah, and they handled it, hashed it out like men, and shook hands, and just understood that, look, sometimes when you're typing things, people misunderstand it. You know what I mean? There's no tone.
Yeah.
There's no... I'll let you check on that by yourself, but I did find that there were some people a little upset with the fact that people were saying the Packers have no leverage. Look, it's not necessarily a shot at Aaron Rodgers. It is the fact of the matter that Aaron Rodgers is moving on. The Jets know that. The Packers don't want Aaron Rodgers. So how much is something worth that you don't want? It's not worth as much as something you do want. And if the Packers last year would have parted ways with Aaron Rodgers, had it been Aaron Rodgers' decision to move on and not play for Green Bay, I think he was worth multiple first-round picks last year. But now that the Packers are deciding to be the ones that want to part ways with Aaron Rodgers, we're seeing that he can't even get a first-round pick out of it. It almost is like you want what you can't have, but one of those things. So I do think that, how much you want something in a way determines what kind of value it has. And Aaron Rodgers is being released, and it's affecting him in the ability for the Packers to receive the haul that they want for Aaron Rodgers. But here's my thing. A first-round pick, give it up. Give it up. Aaron Rodgers is going to come on your team. You haven't had a real quarterback in how long? How long since Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan?
Mark Sanchez took him to the playoffs, so that wouldn't be a bad take. Like, you haven't had a good quarterback since Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, and not only that, if you talk to any people like Rich Eisen, not that I do, but I hear him talk about being a Jets fan, and these people are old enough to be Jets fans for the entire duration of the Jets fan base. And they understand that they've had, like 2, 3, 4 good years, You know what I mean? So that the basic concept is Aaron Rodgers wants control, give it to him. Let him have it. Because whatever you guys have been doing for our entire life is not good. It's not working. And when it comes to the Packers, this is kind of a case of just be grateful that Aaron Rodgers is available and wants to play for your team. Give him the damn first round pick just because you think that you could talk him down to a second. I think it's also a respect thing. Like Sean Payton was given compensation because he was a part of the Saints. And he said, hey, if you guys have to give too much to get me, I don't want to be there because then I don't have anything to work with once I get there. Yeah. So, I mean, to a certain extent, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is, you know, he wants to be worth something, but he also doesn't want to be worth so much that it hinders his ability to win the Super Bowl next year. It's kind of, there's so many different sides to this, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. It's kind of, I think it's just going to take time, man. What are your initial thoughts that this hasn't been done yet?
So it kind of goes in line with what you're saying, right? Because a lot of people look at what Aaron Rodgers has done over these last couple of years, talking about, I don't know if I want to play football, the Packers, this and that, my future. And because of that, the Jets don't think that they should have to give up a first-round pick. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and, you know, people have said it before. The only reason Aaron Rodgers did that is because they picked Jordan Love in the first fucking round, man. Like, what did you expect, right? What did you expect Aaron Rodgers' reaction to be? So the Jets, like you said, you have to give up a first rounder. You have to. Aaron Rodgers is going to be your quarterback for those 3, maybe 4 years, depending if he goes to the Vikings and follows in Favre's footsteps. But regardless, that's just my initial thoughts of it. You have to give up a first rounder because Zach Wilson's not taking you to the Super Bowl. The Jets have a good team, and they are literally a quarterback away. And I feel like everyone that watches the NFL knows this. The Jets are a quarterback away. Their defense was really good last year. I think their defense will be better this year. Honestly, like Sauce Gardner was defensive rookie of the year last year. I think he's just going to improve. Their tackle, Quinnen Williams, he's a monster. Their offensive line is good. You got Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver. And if you've got Aaron Rodgers throwing at Garrett Wilson, a legitimate first-round wide receiver talent, it's just going to get better. They already signed Lazard, which we'll get into a little bit later. So that's one piece that Aaron Rodgers wants. Like, the Jets are just being greedy at this point, dude. Like, give up the first rounder. You've got a Hall of Fame quarterback sitting in your backyard going like, hey, bro, you want me to go inside? You're going to have to give the Packers this first round, right? And it shouldn't be a problem for the Packers. The Jets just are being greedy, you know? So those were my initial thoughts, you know, seeing this news, reading stuff, hearing people talk about it. But man, I had a couple questions for you too. Did I cut out there? I think I cut out there a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Sorry. I just want to acknowledge the chat. We got Jinja, cheers.
What up, Ginge?
We got Bill. Bill, you weren't late this time. You were right on time, actually. So thanks for coming on. Liam, what's up? Cheers. And yes, trivia is now on Thursdays, live on YouTube. Catch that live only on YouTube.
Liam's we're about to see one of those numbers disappear. He's like, trivia? No trivia? All right, peace.
And so actually, this actually brings me to my question. Bill saying, LOL, Aaron lasting 3 to 4 years, optimistic. Do you think, Kyle, that is an optimistic point of view, but do you think that's more on the realistic side, or like how Bill's saying, more on the optimistic side?
Well, optimistic, I would say, because Aaron Rodgers, as you mentioned, he has been somewhat aloof, I'll say, when it comes to his playing career. And I think that's also another reason the Jets need to hurry up. There's also a possibility that we wake up tomorrow and Aaron Rodgers, he already said there's no scenario he's going to go play for the Packers because of the way this went down.
Yeah.
there's a scenario where you wake up and Rodgers is like, I just signed a contract to be Jeopardy's host next season. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
That would
out.
be
I'm out.
insane.
Like deal or no deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Just I'm out. So, or no, that's Shark Tank. Sorry. But yeah, there's a chance that he just wakes
No, it's
up and
Wheel
he
of
says,
Fortune.
"I'm out." Is that Wheel of Fortune too?
No,
It's
I don't
definitely
know.
Shark
It's Shark
Tank. Oh,
Tank.
okay. Yeah, Shark Tank's
got
when
'em.
they don't like their idea and they're like, "I'm
Yeah.
out." Yeah, for that reason, I'm out. Yeah.
I'm out.
Anyway, so there you got to keep in mind that Aaron Rodgers sometimes feels like a ticking bomb that is just going to go off at some point if there is unprofessionalism at play, right? Or just, I mean, when you talk about, I keep using the Sean Payton thing because it's the only example I have of this compensation period where it's very tricky because, like I said, Rodgers doesn't want to go there if they're going to have to give up a ton of stuff to get him because then they don't have anything to build off of. But in the Jets case, it's not a total rebuild. You mentioned all the players they have, all the talent that's around. Like their Super Bowl window will cost them a first-round pick. Like, yes,
yeah.
do it. You know what I mean? I just don't understand why you feel like, you know what, we could wait to April and get a second. Who cares? You could have Aaron Rodgers legally practicing before that if you just get the trade done. He's got to relocate. You know Aaron Rodgers is going to take a long time to show up to camp anyway. So you might as well go ahead and like get this ball rolling. And for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. But that's just one more thing I wanted to mention. Now, to your point about how long he'll play. I'll be honest. When Tom Brady went to Tampa, I thought to myself, he has 1 or 2 years left in him. And he played for 3. And you do see a lot of times that when players do this kind of big change, they almost I rejuvenates them to a certain point. You know, it's just the same monotonous of, you know, practice. This is the training room, QB room. And then all of a sudden you get this variety and this change up. And it's like you feel young again. Maybe you start dating. I don't know. Right. But like he's going from Green Bay, Wisconsin to New York. So I will say, yeah, as big of a change as you could possibly draw on paper for one quarterback. And for those reasons, I am going to stay optimistic that Aaron Rodgers is going to have his career completely rejuvenated by this move. And I will make a bold prediction that at the end of next year's offseason, there will be no decision for Aaron Rodgers to make. He will be coming back to the Jets, and it'll be known from whatever week that the Jets are out, whether it's a Super Bowl or they miss the playoffs, there will be no mystery around number 12 playing for New York next season.
I love that prediction, and I want nothing more than that prediction to happen.
He also doesn't want to be in the same retire class as Tom Brady. If he retires this year, he will be in the same class as Tom Brady, and his whole thing will be overshadowed. Of he needs to, at least play one more year, right?
And that was the one thing when I was like, didn't take that into consideration that he'd be in the same retirement as Tom Brady. Sorry, I keep cutting out there.
No, you're good.
Okay. I didn't realize that he'd be in the same retirement class as Tom Brady. So I'm like, oh shit. Like, of course he's going to probably play a year. He wants to be the marquee name in that retirement class. And then real quick, I want to get to Bill's comment here. Aaron Rodgers, in quotes, is joining more than 300 speakers who will be participating in a Denver convention about psychedelics.
Awesome.
Of course he would. Of course he would.
There's in Washington State, I went to a pet store, and this lady was she's a death doula. So they go to your house because Washington is one of the only states, I think, in Oregon where euthanasia is legal. And they literally go to their house and they say when people are like they have terminal cancer, instead of dying in a hospital or something, they go to their house and they have these people like pick their drugs and they like dance their way out of the world. Like they're dancing and then all of a sudden they're dead. I'm like, that's really heavy and I don't know how to feel about it. But, this is something I think this is just the way our whole country is heading. It doesn't surprise me though. Aaron Rodgers is
Yeah.
probably the biggest name to ever speak out about the benefits of plant medicine. So that's actually, I think, a really cool thing, and no better place to do it than Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to wow, I literally can't believe that. Oh, okay. Going back to what you were saying about the first round pick and why the Jets don't want to do it. This is, we talk about this and we're like, you have to give up the first round pick, right? I feel like people, and maybe the Jets are also looking at the Rams as an example of why you don't give up so many picks. Because now look at the shitty situation they're in, right? This is not the same as the Rams. I don't think this situation is anywhere near the same as the Rams. I mean, you give up one first rounder and maybe like a 6th or 7th, or I don't know, something else. Maybe like you take on some of his contract, whatever the case may be. This is nowhere near like the Rams. Like the Rams are just like, yep, take my 4th, take my 3rd, take my 1st next year.
F them picks.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, this is nowhere near that. And I think maybe the Jets are seeing what the Rams are, reap what you sow, right? In that sense. And they're like, well, we're not going to give up a first for Aaron Rodgers because of what happened in the past. No, this is Aaron Rodgers. Again, you're a quarterback away from making the Jets relevant for the first time in a really long time since Mark Sanchez. Really,
bare
when
minimum.
you guys were in the playoffs. So I think that maybe another way they're looking at it is like the Rams did this, they gave up this many picks, and now look where they're at. It's like, no, this is not the same situation. The Rams gave up 4 years worth of picks. You're giving up a first rounder for next year, if not this year. And really, what do you need? What do you need right now? You need a quarterback. Yeah. Get the quarterback for a first rounder. It's basically like kind of like what they've been saying with the Bears. Oh, you got to trade Justin Fields so that way you can get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. So then maybe he becomes Justin Fields. It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Why don't I just trade my first rounder for what they actually did, a number 1 wide receiver, because he's a number 1 wide receiver. Why take the risk? So that's what the Jets need to do.
There's an old J. Cole song called Love Yours. If you haven't heard it, I really suggest you listen to it. J. Cole is one of the best lyricists of our generation, I think. And his whole thing is there's always going to be a crib that's bigger than yours, or there's going to be a whip that's better than yours, but you're not going to be happy till you love yours. I really think that, and like, look, we're talking about a first round pick, but we don't really know. The Packers might be saying our price tag's 2 firsts. And even to that, I say do it. Because if Aaron Rodgers and the Jets work out, what is that pick? 29? 30? When are they picking in the first round? 29, 30? And here's the other thing. The Jets had the best draft of any team, maybe Seattle number 2, last year. So you already had a good enough draft to make this move. You can sacrifice a couple first-round picks, especially if Aaron Rodgers is on your team. Let's be real. That first-round pick in 24 is going to be a late first round pick, early second, pretty much. Look at the players that are drafted in the first round from 29 to 32 in the past 10 years. And you will see nobody that really jumps off the screen out of Denver. Because I looked at this and I was like, well, how valuable is that pick? Dude, we don't even have those guys on our team anymore. Like, draft picks are draft picks. Aaron Rodgers is a surefire thing. Go ahead, man. I'm just saying, even if it's 2 first round picks, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm like, yeah, sure. We're not going to pick this first round draft. We'll watch Aaron Rodgers highlights on draft night. And then the next year, it's like, if it worked out, and it will, we're, not going to get a 30th overall pick. All right, whatever. We experience playoffs again, and what it is to be important. The amount of money that Aaron Rodgers would bring to New York is the fact that this is even like in a stall period is blowing my mind. But the Packers, see, they might know all of that, right? And that's why it's like, don't say the Packers have no leverage, because they do, because they know how important it is to them to get Aaron Rodgers on their team. What if they say 3 first-round picks? And now it's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. At that point, it gets a little crazy. And I gotta address this comment by Bill. He said, gonna speak for my New Jersey brothers. A first round pick for 2 years of Rodgers is just too much. He was 90% leaning towards retirement before the darkness retreat, and we don't trust him to stay for the long haul. The thing with that, though, right? And I think Bill makes a good point, but counterpoint to that is it's not necessarily a long haul if your defensive stars are already good, your offensive guys are pretty damn good already, right? Like you have the pieces in place minus a quarterback to what you said, make the Jets relevant again and possibly Super Bowl contenders. So I don't think it's necessarily a long haul. I think if Aaron Rodgers gave the Jets 3 years and the Jets only improved with pieces from either free agency or trades, not necessarily the draft, because like you said, they had the best draft aside from Seattle last year. It looks like the Jets can draft really well. And if they give up their 2 first-round picks, like you said, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, those rounds are going to be just as important as they always are in football. And they're going to produce good players. If they continue to draft the way they did last year, I don't see it being a problem. So while Bill said, for first round for 2 years, is it a lot? I don't think so. If in those 2 years you can make it to the conference championships, maybe even a Super Bowl, and even that third year when you do finally have a first round pick, maybe you even trade to draft a quarterback to be under Rodgers. No, but you don't do what the Packers did and you go, hey Aaron, you're here for the contract, we're starting you, but we are looking towards the future as well, right? Like you know what I mean? So I don't think it's a long haul necessary for the Jets. 3 years, I don't think for me is a long haul. Like 3 years is 3 playoff appearances.
Yeah.
And it's only a long haul when you have a rookie quarterback and rookie wide receivers and a rookie line and a bad defense, like the Bears, for example, shit like that.
Can't afford it. You're in a rebuild. And to put the nail in the coffin here, look at this is the 2021 first round draft. Okay. So if you look at picks 1 through 11, you got like Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Devontae Smith, right? All first round picks are not created equal. Look at that's pick 1 through 10. Let's go here to where they would be picking at 28. Peyton Turner, Eric Stokes, Gregory Rousseau, Jason Owe, Joe Tyron. That is the 2021 draft in the first round from 27 to 30. In 2020, the year before that, we got Jordan Brooks, Patrick Queen, Isaiah Wilson, Jeff Gladney, Noah Ibiganoa, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably the best at 32. You see what I'm saying is like, if you're picking late in the first round and like, look, let's see who Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Isaiah Simmons, those top picks are very important, right? The idea is that you get Aaron Rodgers, that first round pick, you're giving up Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You're not giving up Jamar Chase. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is something I think generally football fans just kind of don't get. I think they're like, oh, a first rounder's a first rounder. And it's like, look at the record, man. Go year to year and look at the people that pick late in the first round. Like very rarely is there a guy there that you're like, he is not worth it. A lot of those guys are expendable, and they only end up doing their 4-year rookie contract, and then they become free agents and maybe sign another deal somewhere else. But they're not like the Jamar Chases and the Joe Burrows. You're not going to be up there with Aaron Rodgers. You're not picking that high, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. All good points too, because you take a risk on something like that. Now look, the quarterback market, or at least the guys from going into the draft next year, seem to be a lot better, and maybe a few more in the mix for next year as opposed to this year's draft. But you're getting Aaron Rodgers, man. This guy's a proven quarterback. Like why? If you can protect him. And I keep blacking out. I apologize. I don't know
I
what's
got
going on
you.
with my internet.
There he is.
Okay. Yeah. Were you able to hear me what I said or no?
You like went blank for a second.
Okay. So I'm saying, like, again, you're taking a risk on a first round quarterback. The next year's crop of quarterbacks are supposed to be better. But again, you're taking a risk versus giving up 2 first rounders for an Aaron Rodgers who, has a proven quarterback, veteran, Hall of Famer, all this and that, right? All that stuff. Again, I feel like it makes sense, And real quick, I want to acknowledge the chat. Eric, we got Eric in the chat. Cheers, Eric. Thanks for joining. He's saying the Packers have all the leverage in the world, and that is Aaron willing to commit? There's only 2 years left on his contract, but I think the only thing I think about the committing part was that the Packers were not ready to commit when they drafted Jordan Love and they didn't talk to him. What did he say on the Pat McAfee show, right? Like, I just wanted them to talk to me. I just wanted them to be like, hey, we're thinking of drafting a quarterback in the first round because we were looking towards the future. We want to, and the Packers have done this quite a bit, right? Like we were talking to Tyler, the Packers fan, on our Interview 32 series coming up. So stay tuned for that. And we were saying the same thing. He said the same thing. I'm sorry. The Packers have done this to countless players in their, the last decade and a half. So is it really a surprise that Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to commit to them? Like, come on, right?
Yeah, it's just more of the same song that's been playing for a long time now. There's another guy that's kind of, I would say, having some issues in the free agent market. Mm-hmm. Probably the hottest name that is unsigned besides Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And it's a guy that played in New York and had one of the greatest catches of all time. But then he had, I think he was undoubtedly the best wide receiver in the NFL considered that year. The year after, went to Cleveland. Big brand guy, Nike, in music videos with Drake. Just a big personality, big name. Yeah. And probably one of the best footwork wide receivers you'll ever see. If you ever watch him with a soccer ball, you'll see that. Wow. But he's been hurt, 2 significant injuries back to back. He hasn't found his home yet. A lot of people are saying $20 million is a lot of money for a guy that's, hurt year after year for the last 2 seasons. Now, here was what we saw from Twitter, which I've learned is a really great place to be. Thanks to Rick.
It is. It's great.
Odell went on Twitter and said $20 million a year. Where did I ever say I wanted $20 million a year? I was never quoted saying that.
Yeah.
He said, I'm just not going to play for 4 or something like that. So
yeah, he said 4 is not enough.
4 is not enough. But I never said 20.
Yeah.
It just seems like there's a disconnect going on here. Where is it, do you think?
OBJ, like you said, big name, big star. Is he worth 20 million? No. But did he say that he wanted 20 million? Again, probably not. I just there's a reason outside of his injuries that he wasn't signed last year with the Cowboys, with the back to the Giants, as he was rumored. There's something about OBJ that I don't think teams want right now.
Diva.
He's 100% that attitude, right? Like, but also, like, he didn't really have too much of an attitude with the Rams, with Matthew Stafford, right? Like, that seemed to be fine. You can credit Matthew Stafford with his talent, right? Like, he was able to get him the ball. He got him a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like, there was no shortage of OBJ in LA, right? There was no shortage of him being the guy in LA. I just think there might be a little bit something else. Maybe the what was it? Was it an ACL, right? 2 years so far in his career.
MCL, maybe ACL.
Maybe there's something there. He's a little bit older. I think he's 31?
Yeah.
30, something like that.
30, 32 probably.
Yeah, and look, we're talking about, paying Aaron Rodgers however many millions of dollars he wants per year, but this is quarterback, man. This is a different beast. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, Tom
30.
Brady was.
It's only 30.
He's 30. Okay, only 30. You lose a step though with those 2 ACLs. You're getting a little older. You can't really. You haven't caught 1,000-yard receiving season in a really long time, 3-4 years or so. It's been a while. I don't know, man. It just seems like he wants a little too much too soon, and he hasn't really proven himself, even with a Super Bowl ring, right? Because he got hurt in the Super Bowl. So, like, I don't know, man. I would if I was the Bears and I hadn't gotten DJ Moore, I probably would want OBJ, just for maybe even being just like a scapegoat for the offense, right? Like, hey, I'm OBJ, come guard me. Oh, quick little slant to Chase Claypool to Darnell Mooney. I don't know, man.
I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay.
Said these conversations.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, you're good. You're good.
If the number isn't 4 and let's say the number is 5, I feel like there would be teams lined up for that. I mean, don't you think that there would be a lot of teams interested in bringing in Odell for even 6-7 million a year? I mean, because the ceiling on this is very high, right? If you're paying a lot of money, it's a high risk reward scenario. But if you're not paying more than $8 million a year, I would take him. Honestly, I'm trying to think of like some wide receiver. How much I'll look this up really quick, but I think that is totally a good number that I think two people could agree on is about 8-9 million a year. And I think Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Baltimore, back with the Rams. These are teams that make sense to me. Somebody that's a contender, he's at an age where he wants a ring. He doesn't want the money. Yeah. He's chasing a ring, not money. So he's got money, doesn't have a ring. So he's going to go to a contender, but why haven't they offered it?
I don't know, man. You said it earlier, the divaness, the whole like, if he's unhappy with the offense, he's going to make it known. His dad's going to make it known. And it's kind of also like dude, it's just hard to pinpoint what the actual issue is. I really think it's the injuries. Couple that with the fact that he hasn't really done what he used to do as far as like 1,000-yard receivers. You know, we put this milestone on wide receivers that are 1,000 yards per season that we expect from like wide receiver ones.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done that in a while. And again, it's just the injuries. He thinks 4 is too low. Okay, cool. But you don't want 20 million. So what do you want? Like, do you want that $9-8 million range? And what team will want to put you on their roster for multiple years?
Well,
you got to look at that too.
Yeah. I looked this up, dude. The Giants, man, I know, Bill, some of the stuff they do really freaks me out. And here's something I'm using overthecap.com. I always use that website for this stuff. They have really fast updating when players get signed and stuff. So DeAndre Hopkins is making $15 million a year. Michael Thomas, like we talked about, makes $13 million a year. Devontae Adams makes $12 million a year. There's a guy almost making double that. Kenny Golladay makes $21.1 million a year. You're paying over $20 million a year for Kenny Golladay? What? Over Devontae? I mean, is there something that I'm missing about that equation?
It's dude, Christian Kirk, when he signed for the Arizona Cardinals, fucked up the wide receiver market. That's what Christian Kirk did. Remember
Christian
we talked
Kirk's
about
only
it?
Making 7.5 a year though.
Yeah, but his contract overall. Remember we talked about it last season? We're like, Christian Kirk is getting how much?
Yeah.
$72 million over 4 years. Who is Christian Kirk? What has he done, right?
Yeah.
So he fucked it up. And Bill's saying right here, Aaron Rodgers had OBJ on his wish list for the Jets to pick up, right? Like
they got Corey Davis. They're paying Corey Davis $13 million a year. He's He's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh highest paid receiver in the league. Corey Davis.
Oh my God, you gotta cut that fucker post June 1st. You
That's
gotta
what I'm
cut
saying.
him.
Why is Kenny Galladay making 20? You know what they should do? They should cut Kenny Galladay and sign Odell Beckham and whoever the hell else. They could get DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham for Kenny Galladay money. And they should do it.
Dude. And we got John in here. John in the chat. John, appreciate you coming on. Cheers. He's saying I'd give OBJ $10 million, and OBJ is a wide receiver one on a lot of teams in this league. I could agree with that. I could absolutely agree with that.
Yes, the Jets.
I mean,
Garrett Wilson, but
Garrett Wilson, he did well, but I mean, I think off the bat the Giants again, wide receiver one.
Yeah, the Giants for sure.
The Patriots just signed Juju. He's not a number one. No. Patriots, he'd be a number one. The Panthers, he'd be a number one now that they got rid of DJ Moore.
Yeah, the Panthers. Tampa's got Mike Evans.
Yeah, dude, there's teams.
Who would you rather have, Mike Evans or OBJ? You know, I mean, it's something to think about. You went blank there for a second. Curtis Samuel, another guy. There you are.
Sorry, I'm so mad at my internet right now. I cannot wait to get like something better. So I apologize to everybody watching and listening. I'm sorry about that. I promise I'll get the best internet ever when we
hit
make it big.
Our QR codes up top left.
Yeah, hit our QR
We're
code.
Going to the Super Bowl anymore. We're getting better internet.
I just need a fucking Wi-Fi router or something. No, that was an interesting question. OBJ or who did you say? Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Who would you take? I'm kind of torn here. I think Mike Evans. I'm leaning more towards Mike Evans.
I would lean more towards Mike Evans because of recency bias. But when it comes to ceiling, I think OBJ might be what you need. You just brought in a quarterback who we'll talk about in a little bit. And never mind.
What happened?
That quarterback that they brought in today, they're not going to bring in OBJ because they have a history.
Who?
Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham.
No, you don't want to bring him there. You
don't want to bring him there. But that's just one example of these like fringe wide receiver ones, right? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the Hopkins and the Devontae Adams. We're talking about these other guys that Odell Beckham could get back to that level. He could be, dude, last time we saw him, he was the best player in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. In the Super Bowl, he scored the first touchdown. He was immediately a factor, and he was a huge reason the Rams won it. So I just don't know how him not playing last season, like I understand because your image isn't out there. There's no highlights. You're kind of low, but this was a great year for Odell to wait because the receiver market is dry this year. The biggest wide receiver that happened was DJ Moore to the Bears, which is nothing to sleep on. But we had, last season where it was like Devontae Adams and some other guys. There was none of those names out there. OBJ is the biggest name, but I think what OBJ is not saying, he's saying 20. I never said 20, but 4 is too little. But he's also not saying so is 9. You know what I mean? Like he's saying maybe someone offered 4, but if he were completely honest, he might be saying I never said 20, but 9 is too little. We don't know what that number is because it's not what he said. It's what he isn't saying. What is his number?
I never said 20, but 20 is nice. And Ginger's in here. The market is only going to go up and up, man. That's the reality of it. Exactly for the wide receiver market. You saw Jacoby Myers, too. He was probably the other bigger name other than OBJ, right? And he just recently got signed. And Bill, I completely forgot about this. Galladay is gone. He was gone the first moment we could. So we could look at that contract and be like, okay, thank God. Right? Like thank God.
Oh, okay. I wonder who. Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, my bad. It was 1 year. It was in 2022. Right now, DeAndre Hopkins is the biggest contract, making $29.9 million. Wow. That's his cap number. Cooper Kupp, number 2, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson. Yeah, that's why they
Mm-hmm.
got rid of Allen Robinson. Tyler
Yep.
Lockett.
Yep.
This list makes so much more sense than the last list. I feel so much better. I'm like, dude, I need to
This
be a
is
GM
why
if this is what's going on.
this is why Kyle and I need like, oh god, we need like producers. We need guys to like fact check us on the spot. We're looking for 2 producers.
Kenny
We'll pay
Galladay.
you in beer. It's gonna be fun. No, but yeah, man, that list makes much more sense. It's just more realistic. And Bill's here
Mike
saying
Evans.
if Kyle,
Sorry, go ahead.
Mike Evans. No, I was gonna say Bill's here saying if Kyle's right about ring chasing, the Pats aren't going to get OBJ to a Super Bowl. That's true because they're
Very
dealing
true.
with their own quarterback BS right now, right? Like whether Mac Jones is the guy or not, right? So
there's your dilemma though, is that the teams
Yeah.
that are in a window don't have money really.
exactly, and
Unless
that's what
the
Bill was saying.
Chiefs- maybe
Yeah,
the
that's
Chiefs-
what Bill was saying. Like he wants to go, but he may want to go back to the Giants. Giants don't have the money for it. They just don't have the money for it. They get them in, fuck them, and I'm sure Bill knows quite a bit about that, so he's probably kind of not mad about that.
Exactly.
I appreciate you.
But look, you and I had to sit there and think about the Mike Evans thing. Like
Mhm.
we really, went back and forth on that. And Mike Evans is, what was it, the 4th highest here? Here it is. Mike Evans is the 4th highest paid receiver, making 23 a year. So the fact that we had
Wow.
to sit here and think about it lets you know that Odell's definitely not worth 4. I mean, you look at the team,
Yeah.
the guys that are at $4 million, Drake London, Devontae
rookie
Smith, Jerry
contract,
Jeudy, rookie contracts. They're all rookie
yeah.
contracts. But we are, we said we were getting into a period where we don't pay running backs. Wide receivers are more polished than ever coming out of the draft. And if you could draft a Jerry Jeudy, a Garrett Wilson, this was the first time ever that Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave from the same college both had 1,000 yards as a rookie. That's the first time that's ever happened. So receivers are more polished than ever. So why spend, $29 million on DeAndre Hopkins when you can just draft the next Garrett Wilson for $4 million?
Yeah, dude.
Something to discuss,
I was gonna say, yeah, you said it, dude. Like, wide receivers are coming out of college, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this from the early days of Only Football when we were doing preseason predictions and stuff. These players are coming out more NFL ready than ever, and I mean it's kind of obvious, right? Like I feel like just like with the training, it's just we're looking at an NFL in the next 10 years that is going to be ridiculous as far as talent coming out of like rookie classes, and the market's only going to go up, like Jen just said. But it's insane. But all of this to say, OBJ, I don't. I cannot see him signing with a team. I don't know.
And
what do you think, Kyle?
And that is also, if I was going to play devil advocate to what we've already discussed, if these players are coming out of college more polished and better, draft picks aren't nothing. And we talked about how those late round draft picks haven't produced much talent. But if it's really getting to a point where these college players are getting more and more pro ready, then late round draft picks are worth a lot, especially let's say in 2024 when Garrett Wilson is about to end his rookie contract and become the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Then all of a sudden that late first round pick is your get out of jail free card from paying Garrett Wilson a shit ton of money. So I mean, there are a lot of sides to this. I still would take Aaron Rodgers, but this next segment, this Odell Beckham thing, is really interesting because it does make you go back and almost contradict what we said earlier about draft picks. But at the end of the day, like a late round draft pick is a late round draft pick. Odell's going to be going to a contender, and it's probably going to be the Chiefs because, look, they just got rid of Orlando Brown, and that was something that we can – you want to get into that right now?
Oh, well, before we get into that, let's wrap this OBJ one up, and then we'll go into the ad for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm looking at teams that are contenders that are also clearing cap space. And the Chiefs, by not paying Orlando Brown, are definitely on that list. The Bills haven't made many moves besides moving their players. They haven't been taking players. They've been you guys got the linebacker, right? From Buffalo. Jermaine Edmonds. And yeah, I mean, it's possible that just like the Aaron Rodgers deal, this is at a standstill, but it's just not being as publicized as the Aaron Rodgers deal. So we don't know, but I'm pretty sure there is a compensation back and forth going with many teams because he has an agent, unlike Lamar Jackson.
Yep, exactly. And sorry, I left you on a cliffhanger there, Bill. He's like, all this to say, cliffhanger. Like, shit, I blacked out right there. But I can't. I don't know if OBJ is going to sign with the team. I don't think he's going to. But this is also coming from the guy who said that Aaron Rodgers was going to retire. So don't take anything I say, for Bible.
Yeah, what I say, definitely take it.
Yeah. Kyle is on the phone with Adam Schefter at all times.
God, dang it! Hold on. Right now?
What?
Odell? What? Sorry.
He's like, all right, XFL news. Get the fuck out of here.
Let me go ahead and verify that with NFL.com because they released it first.
We will see. We will keep you guys in tune with the OBJ saga. But real quick, let's show the main event. The show from Star 6 Media that goes into AEW, WWE, MMA, and boxing. We're going to play a quick clip and then continue Only Football after that.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the main event of the evening. Alongside my brother from the same mother, Enrique Contreras, I'm Jose Contreras, and we are here to bring you guys all the latest and greatest topics in combat sports.
That's right, Jose. We're going to talk WWE, AEW, UFC, boxing, all of mixed martial arts. We'll even get into the backstage stuff, all the controversy. Just make sure you tune in every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
And like I said, we'll be here, guys, next week. Rick, we'll see you, man.
All right. Go check out the main event again, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Central here on Star 6 Media, as well as Only Football, brought to you by Star 6 Media. All right, Kyle, let's continue Only Football. And let's talk about some more signings, extensions, trades, all that good stuff here in the NFL. What were some of the ones you wanted to go over first?
All right. So I think we have to start with the biggest ones. And I'm going to say that right now it's Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield has become, I want to say this accurately, but probably the best journeyman quarterback available. He, was drafted number 1 overall pick, dressed like Brett Favre, the exact outfit. And the expectations were just high as it was for any first overall pick. And he found success. He turned the Cleveland Browns totally around. And then he goes, and gets the boot, ends up in Carolina. They get Deshaun Watson. A lot of stuff to talk about there. But then it just doesn't work out in Carolina. And then, what is it, 4, 5, 6 weeks? And then he's off to LA. And there's a guy that believed in him, Sean McVay. And Sean McVay and him they love to talk ball. And I think in a way, when Baker Mayfield took that first start and he didn't even have cleats, it was just for once in his life, it was like back to just playing football. It was not about Odell Beckham. It was not about his father. It was not about expectations and this and that and all this media. It was just, look, give me a pair of shoes. I don't care if they're fitted for me. Give me a helmet and let's go win a football game. And when he led that comeback, I thought that I saw enough in that game that he was going to get this job at another team this year. And it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who took this
Yeah.
chance. And I think this is very smart. And I'll tell you one last thing, and then I'll pass it to you. I was watching a game with the Browns, and they were going back and forth with, I think, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. And it was like 49 to 40, 52, something crazy. And it was like one of the best games I ever watched. And I remember this was like 3 years after Peyton retired, and I was thinking, I want a Baker Mayfield on my team. Like, I want a guy that I could buy a jersey and know that we're going to be good because we have a winner on our team. And obviously things changed so much since that moment. And I still believe in Baker Mayfield, and I still believe he can be that guy for a team for a long time. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I also think, we've talked about it, people are a victim of their environment, and people are drafted to toxic places. And it's no wonder that those same franchises can't get a good quarterback for decades. Why is it that, the Patriots draft these players that are good role players, or they haven't been a good draft example, but you know what I'm saying? Like, functioning organizations create great players. They have good coaches. They have good trainers. They have good medical staff. Everything is operating good. And I just felt like, from the moment that Baker got drafted to the Cleveland Browns, who was like the bottom feeder of the NFL, to getting tossed to Carolina, who ends up firing their coach in the middle of the season, he gets any type of competent coach in the first time in his career with Sean McVay. And he didn't even know the playbook and went off and made that comeback, beat the Broncos by like 50 points on Christmas. Yeah. I just think if Baker is in the right scenario and people believe in him, sign him to a long-term deal. Don't even just be like, hey, we're going to sign you to a 4-year deal. You're going to make $25 million a year, $100 million contract. You're the guy. Whether we lose or win, you're going to be the guy. I think you're going to get good results. And I think the Bucs did the best thing that they could do after Tom Brady, retiring. What do you think about it?
So I like the situation he's in Tampa. Second year head coach, who was it? Is it Leftwich, or I always forget if it's Leftwich.
No, it was going to be Leftwich, but they ended up going with the defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I forget his name right now, but I kind of like the situation he's in there in Tampa Bay. Just because when Brady got there, Todd Bowles, there we go, Todd Bowles. When Brady got there, it's almost like they had just kind of recovered from Jameis Winston not really being the guy. Lovie Smith was, a past thought. And they were just like, all right, we got to recover this organization. And kind of to what your point, right? Like, is saying, like, they were able to recover and able to become that organization that players wanted to go to. You saw Leonard Fournette wanted to go back to the Tampa Bay Bucs. Tom Brady was there for 3 years or so. Mike Evans was able to do really well. I think to what your point is, like, Baker Mayfield in a very stable, intelligent environment like the Bucs is going to be great for his career. And this signing was a good one. I think he's going to connect with Mike Evans a lot. Whoever they have at running back, going to help out. And there's some younger guys in there as well. They've got a good defense. Their line isn't amazing, but I think Todd Bowles is going to be able to do a little bit more with Baker Mayfield because he is a little younger, a little bit more mobile than Tom Brady was the last year. So I like this. I like this signing, and I don't think he's going to be great. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that first game in LA that he, played, like this amazing Baker Mayfield, but I think he's going to keep them somewhat in the playoff race. I think he's going to keep them in the conversation for sure.
He could be as good as Derek Carr in New Orleans.
Yeah, and he's had way more playoff experience than Derek Carr too. And again, he's got a good defense. He's got a couple of weapons, and I'm sure the way they're going to draft, like, they'll probably get him a couple more weapons. With, like how we said, with the talent coming out of the draft, out of college, being is pretty damn good as it has been. I don't think they can go a draft without getting at least someone that's going to make a difference there on the offense. So I like the move. And then Jinja here, or go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, don't forget about Chris Godwin and Russell Gage, because I think when Russell Gage was in Atlanta, I expected him to become a big part of Tom Brady's last year, and he never did. And that whole offense was just very lackluster. And it is something to note, right? Is that these players are better than they're playing. Was it Tom Brady or was it Todd Bowles? And I thought offensively, I think they fired Byron Leftwich right after the season, right? They fired their offensive coordinator. I think I'm pretty sure just so we're saying the right thing here. But I just felt like with the talent on that team, even Leonard Fournette just felt like he was giving like 50% most of the season, or reserving himself for this late playoff push that they were just so accustomed to because of Tom Brady. It kind of just having Tom Brady, I felt like they lost that. They needed that leader on offense, and Brady had so much going on. And my question about Baker is a little bit in the leadership department. All right, let's be real. He's not always been.
They did get rid of Byron Leftwich. They did.
Okay, so that I think, as good as they're going to be, depends on the leadership that Baker Mayfield is going to bring. And I think sometimes, given these 3-week contracts, is a humbling thing. And maybe, just maybe, Baker is going to come into this scenario a version of himself that we've never seen. And plus, dude, think about being 21 years old and given, $1 million versus being 26 and having millions of dollars. Like, you grow up so much from 21 to 27. It's not even like you look back on it and it feels like you were a teenager when you're 21. So I just think Baker's probably, is going to be more mature. But as far as weapons goes, they have weapons. Like Chris Godwin, if he can stay healthy, he's good. Mike Evans has to stay healthy. He's like the most consistent 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL, I think. He's gotten past like 1,500 yards like year after year after year. Last year was kind of a down year, but Russell Gage also, when there was Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, Russell Gage was a great wide receiver 3. And I would say Tampa has enough to feel good about going into this year. If Baker can, really be that guy that everyone can get behind, fully trust him, and not have, the Baker Mayfield that's flicking people off midfield and just kind of, aloof is another word that I've been saying a lot today, but just kind of, personality too big for his uniform.
Kyle's got a word of the day calendar, and the one for today was aloof. So he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll use that on the show today." We got Ginger saying, honestly, I just really don't like Baker after what he did at Ohio State. And
the midfield thing.
Yeah. And Bill's saying Kyle's 100% on the organization, has to be there. We went from Gettleman Judge to Schoen Dable, and the difference is night and day. That's true. 100%, right? Like that just has to be a thing. And talking about the Giants, they made a huge splash. A lot of us, one that I did not expect when I heard when I saw the breaking news, they got Darren Waller. Darren Waller, the tight end, a very, very good tight end, was traded to the Giants from the Raiders. I forget exactly what was traded back to the Raiders for Waller, but
I'll look it up.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, man, and Bill, I'm sure, is very happy about this. Daniel Jones has a legit weapon at tight end. Someone that John Gruden said was one of the best football players he has ever seen.
Yeah, athletes, I think is the word he used.
Or athletes, yeah.
2023 third-round pick. So, look, when I see this, that is amazing. But when I see this, I think Josh McDaniels is fucking toxic. Because when I mean, it's like he's like cleaning house of everybody that is not indoctrinated to McDaniels. Like he had ties, he had deep ties, especially as a person that, was addicted to drugs, and somebody believed in him. And we know John Gruden his whole thing's tainted now, but at the moment he believed in Darren Waller, and now Darren Waller's, not everybody is going to imagine if somebody were to kick you out of your position and jump on Only Football, and I'm supposed to just act like everything's cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's just some people don't do that well. You know what I mean? Some people aren't willing to just accept the new person that is now in charge, especially if Darren Waller and his quarterback were tight, and now he just saw his quarterback get shipped out. It's like, no, dude, you're an asshole. I'm not playing for you. I think that there's a lot more to this because a third-round pick is not a lot. So this was more, I felt like the Giants were smart. They took advantage. But this is McDaniel's cleaning house of people that he can't control. And when I think about it, Darren Waller has had his injury problems, but when he's healthy, he is a menace. And he is one of the best tight ends in the league when he's healthy. And 2 years ago, he was considered probably a top 3 tight end with Travis Kelce and George Kittle. So this is a really good move by the Giants. But I am just like the Derek Carr trade, I'm more flabbergasted by Josh McDaniel's ability to kick the talent out the door. And I wonder, what is your mission? Like, what is your goal? Is it to get everybody on your team that likes you, or is it to win football games?
Yeah. I don't. And Ginger agrees with you, right? Like, if Waller can stay healthy, he'll be a difference maker, 100%. And Bill's saying that the 3rd round pick that they had traded was the one they got from Kansas City for Kadarius Toney. So,
even better.
Even better. Jen just saying, when healthy, Waller's a top 5 tight end, no doubt, probably a top 10 pass catcher in the league. And it goes back to what Gruden was saying. He's just the best overall athlete he's ever seen, man. So Bill's going to be very happy about it. He's even talking about the turf that they replaced at the stadium. Like, he's like, I hope so. I hope he stays healthy because we're getting new turf at the stadium. They removed the old stuff. It's going to be great. So hopefully that Darren Waller trade
said
works
he didn't
out.
get coming. I just wanted to say it before you wrapped it up.
Yeah, and he had just gotten married to oh my God, what was her name? Plum. She's a WNBA player for the Las Vegas Aces. They just won the WNBA championship. They just got married a couple weeks ago. And then he trades them. Like, what a dick
and an
move.
all-time high. He probably is like, okay, cool, I'm going to New York. You know what I mean? That's not a bad place to go. Like, it's not like you got traded, to Cleveland or something. It's like, oh, why would you send me here? But it is interesting because when I mentioned all of that toxicity from McDaniels, I figured Waller would have seen this coming. But it's just, what makes you think, especially if there's no like clear beef with a guy like Darren Waller? Obviously there wasn't, because he didn't see it coming. What makes you think, when you're sitting in your office drawing your X's and O's in the offseason, Darren Waller's a guy I got to move for a 3rd?
Yeah.
You're not getting anything better than Darren Waller in the 3rd round. And then they bring in, you see they brought in a tight end right after that? I'm gonna find it right here so I can AFC West.
Jen just said the Vegas Aces dime piece. You're not wrong.
OJ Howard.
Yeah, from the Bucks. Yeah.
From the Bucks. And but why?
Yeah,
why OJ Howard over Darren Waller?
Why? Yeah, dude, this is back to our conversation that we had last week. Not maybe last week, maybe the week before or something. When he got rid of Derek Carr, just like he got rid of Cutler in Denver, he screwed up. He was cheating. He's just not a good coach, man. He does not understand talent if it hit him in the face with a Super Bowl trophy. Like, you know what I mean?
The top paid, I was thinking money maybe, but the top paid tight ends is George Kittle, Hunter Henry, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, TJ Hawkinson, Will Dissly, Tyler Higbee, Kyle Pitts, Logan Thompson. Dude, you got to go. Darren Waller's all the way down here. He's only making $4 million a year. So what's the deal? Like, it's not like you're like, we don't have $18 million anymore a year for him. We're rebuilding in a way, or reloading, as the people rebuilding like to say. But $4 million a year. Darren Waller is being paid the same amount as Ian Thomas and Durham Smythe and Cole Kmet. Pretty much.
Wow.
Cole
And
Kmet's
that's like
making.
Cole Kmet's he's on a rookie deal, I think, too.
He's making only 300 grand less, which in football money is not a lot.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Maybe
realize
they're
this.
expecting a big check from Darren
I
Waller
hope so.
soon.
I mean, maybe the Giants might be able to give it to him. I don't know. But
They're giving everyone money right now, so I feel good about being there.
And I didn't even realize this. Bill saying the day after they got back from their honeymoon, he got traded. Didn't even have time to unpack. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. But
They should have just told him on his honeymoon, hey, when you fly back, you might want to fly to New York. We'll tell you later.
yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you on the back end.
New Jersey.
This one, another trade that happened, and this one may or may not hurt Ginger a little bit. The Colts traded their cornerback Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just adding these. If you could you look up what they traded exactly, what the Cowboys traded? But solid move by the Cowboys to add another veteran, solid cornerback there. A fifth rounder.
2023 compensatory pick.
Wow, that's not bad. That is not
Dude,
bad for
it's a
Stephon
free
Gilmore.
pick.
Yeah,
free pick.
I mean, honestly. And Stephon Gilmore's a little on the older side, and I don't think he was as good last year with the Colts as he was before. But
he was tough last year.
Yeah, he's still got some good years ahead of him.
He single-handedly won the Thursday night game. I think it was the first game we streamed, the Broncos-Colts game. He was the reason that the Colts got the ball back when Denver could have ran the clock out. Man, I don't even want to go down that game, but Stephon Gilmore is still a guy that if he's on your team, and you think about it, they wanted to draft Surtain, but they ended up getting Micah Parsons because the Broncos drafted before the Cowboys. So they've always wanted to get some kind of lockdown corner. And I know the Stephon Diggs, his brother, Trevin Diggs, Trevon Diggs. Trevin Diggs. He gets beat a lot. He's got great hands and he has really good makeup speed. But you knew that they've been wanting this guy since 2021 draft, this, bona fide cornerback position. And they definitely got it. I don't think Stephon Gilmore, he's not young, but he's not like Patrick Peterson getting traded. What is he? Probably like 31 years old, maybe 32. Cornerbacks, when they're good, they can play till they're 36, 37.
Oh, yeah.
And Stephon Gilmore was the best in the league like 4 years ago. So
he was like one of those top cornerbacks. You talk about when like Revis was a thing, Patrick Peterson, Dante, what was his name? Dante
Stallworth?
No. He was on the Reds. He was, back when the Commanders were the Redskins.
Yeah. DeAndre Hall.
DeAndre Hall, not Dante Hall. Yeah, DeAndre Hall. Or no, was it Dante Hall? I think it was Dante Hall.
Dante Hall. Yeah.
Okay, so I had the first name, you had the second name. We don't do names here on OnlyFans.
But together we're perfect.
Yeah, together we're one. And Jinja saying that was an absolutely atrocious trade. I think we may just be trying to free up money to get Lamar, which we will. I want to talk a little bit about that a little later. And he says he agrees with you. He single-handedly won 3 of our 4 games last year. It's tough to give that one up for compensatory 5th round pick or 4th round pick, whatever it was. It's tough when you got a difference maker like that, just traded away like that.
What's the deal with that? It just seems like there's so many things that we go through, and it's the value. Dude, CMC was literally acquired with just compensatory picks. Now that they got them, you look at it and it's like, what did you get?
What did free? It was free.
A free CMC on your team. I mean, you got to pay him like the second highest, but still, I mean, the fact that they didn't haul in like 2 firsts or even a first and a second is just mind-boggling. And this is another one. Stephon Gilmore is definitely, if you're going to move off of him, it just seems like these owners may be talking to each other way too much at the combine, because I didn't realize that the combine is like spring break in Indianapolis. All the owners get together and get wine drunk at fancy restaurants, and they all just like, I'm just led to believe that there's no leverage once they say too much. Like the Cowboys Jerry Jones might have been like, yeah, we want to get a cornerback. And then the freaking Colts are like, we just need to get off of our contracts. And then the Cowboys know, like, hey, you know what I mean? They just need to free up the money and offer this. And they're like, sure, because they lose their leverage when they open their mouth. You know what I mean?
Oh, fucking cow. Let's move on to a few more because there were a lot of signings and stuff. Yeah. So just to get, I kind of got them in groups here. Quarterbacks, other quarterbacks that were signed. Andy Dalton went to the Panthers, Jacoby Brissett to the Commanders, and then Sam Darnold went to the 49ers. Which, I mean, Andy Dalton to the Panthers.
Underrated signing.
You think so? No, I was like, no way. I was like, there's no fucking way.
The Red Rifles back in the East.
Back in the East Coast, Red Rifle. So Andy Dalton to the Panthers, Jacoby Brissett to the Commanders, Sam Darnold to the 49ers. Sam Darnold just seems to be, I think, maybe like a bad safety because Brock Purdy got hurt pretty bad. Trey Lance still hurt. Probably will continue to get hurt. Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett seem to be more of those bridge type of moves. The Commanders don't necessarily, I mean, they got Sam Howell. Who knows what he is or what he will become, but Darnold to the Panthers seems more like another bridge quarterback situation for him. Which one do you like the most here out of those three?
There's one more I would put in this group, and it's Mike White to the Dolphins.
Yes.
That I feel like that's kind of the same group. But out of the three you named, I'll say out of those four, Mike White to the Dolphins I like the most. But out of the three, that I would say Sam Darnold. Look, he's just there as some kind of insurance in case Brock Purdy gets hurt, and what that does tell me is that they are probably shopping Trey Lance. And we talked about Trey Lance not being talked about publicly, but Trey Lance is definitely somebody that I could see Carolina. I thought maybe Tampa would make a move for Trey Lance. They went with Baker and NFC West team, but different team. So I don't know, man. When I see the Sam Darnold thing, I'm like, they're shopping Trey Lance. You don't need Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, and Brock Purdy. Yeah. You just don't. You don't need three. Yeah. And you might say, well, they did last year. And it's like, well, I mean, every year to think that you're going to be down to your third string quarterback is ridiculous.
Exactly.
So who are they shopping? Not the guy that won them all the games, and not the guy they just signed. So who does that leave? Trey Lance.
Old Lancey boy.
Trey Lance is probably going to be on another team, I'm thinking.
And another one I forgot about, Heineke to the Falcons. So you've got what's his name? They drafted him last season. The Falcons did someone.
Oh yeah. Riddler.
What? Riddler, or the Riddler. I don't know. I forget his name. We said it last week's episode, but Heineke, something like that. I can't forget. If you guys are in the chat, let us know what the Atlanta quarterback's name is. But the Heineke to the Falcons is another good one. I like Jacoby Brissett to the Commanders too, because he does have that veteran time in the NFL. And again, Sam Howell, what is he? Who knows? But another bridge type of quarterback situation there.
Gardner Minshew too is another.
Gardner Minshew.
This has been a year. He went to the
Desmond Ridder. There we go, Desmond Ridder.
Yeah. He ended up going. I put it in the notes here. Baker Mayfield went to Tampa. Gardner Minshew went to the Colts.
Yeah, there we go.
And
there you go.
Dude, I would love to have Gardner Minshew on my team. I think he is probably the best backup quarterback in the league right now. So if I had, dude, he looked solid when he came in for the Eagles for Hurts. I mean, dude, the only reason they lost that game was because their players kept dropping balls and fumbling him. It was literally like Minshew was on it, dude. He had they had like 30 points, 38 points scored. It was insane. It was like Minshew magic is back, and Minshew's just kind of just never. The moment is never too big for him. He's very calm. Yeah, he did say after the trade, I don't really have any expectations. I've come here to work and have fun. If we do that every day, we're going to end up in a good place. Minshew's not a threat to anybody. He's just an easygoing dude that is just, if you need him to come in, he can win you some football games. So that right there is the best quarterback that the Colts have had in over, how many years? Definitely. Well, I would have taken Gardner Minshew all of last year, right? So even if you don't get Lamar and you have to go with Minshew this year, I know it's not a sexy thing, but you're going into a really thick quarterback market draft next year, and not everybody's going to get their guy. That's just the way it works. You know, there's going to be a couple teams that start Minshew and Baker Mayfield, and that's all right. And maybe you'll be surprised by one of the guys. Who's your favorite out of these?
That's just quarterback carousel.
Yeah. Who's your favorite out of these kind of tier 2 quarterbacks?
These are like tier 3 quarterbacks. Let's be real.
Tier 2.
What'd you say?
Jake Plummer.
Jake coming back. Oh God, no. Oh God, no. I don't know which one I like the most. I think I like Jacoby Brissett to the Commanders. It gives him another opportunity to start, and he's got Scary Terry there. He's got a couple good running backs there. It gives him a good opportunity to kind of again show, maybe get him another contract or show why he's been in the league for so long. I kind of like that. Yeah, the Andy Dalton one to the Panthers. It's just. I'm just starting to feel bad for the guy. This is like another Carson Wentz situation to me. Like I see Andy Dalton to the Panthers and I'm like, dude, you're there to be another bridge. Yeah. Oh, it's another bridge quarterback situation, man. Like Andy Dalton is never gonna be the guy ever again. And I think this is the moment where I was like, he just wants to stay in the league, man. He wants to keep proving. And it almost makes me like shed a tear at like how hard he's trying with these teams, right?
Hell yeah, he's trying. They're making millions to not
they're
even
making
play.
Millions though, yeah.
$10 million a year to be a backup.
That's insane. That's fucking insane. So
don't feel too bad.
Don't feel too bad of them crying in their fucking $5 million cars. I think I like the Jacoby Brissett one the most. I would say Sam Darnold to the 49ers, like you said, he's just kind of like like how I said, he's just more of a safety blanket. But let's move on to running backs.
Oh wait, can I say one last thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say it's okay to feel a little bad because in a way money isn't everything, and these players, a lot of them, they would trade money for being the guy for a franchise.
That's true. That's true.
We've already determined Andy Dalton is gonna be the guy. Jacoby Brissett is a bridge. You know, these are Teddy Bridgewater. They're not gonna take over your team unless someone's hurt. But there are a couple quarterbacks that are at a fork in the road, and they're either going to become Jacoby Brissett or they're going to become Ryan Tannehill. And I think Baker Mayfield is at that kind of fork in the road. And would you say that any of these other quarterbacks are at a similar fork, or these are just like bona fide backups at this point?
And we got, Bill and Ginger talking about Heineke. I would say Baker Mayfield has the absolute best chance out of all these guys that we just talked about to be the guy in an organization. He has the best chance, and that's still not even a good chance. You know
Gardner?
what I mean? No, Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew to the Colts. I just think it's another one of those like, not bridge quarterbacks, but it's like, hey, we got a solid backup in case something happens.
Policy.
Yeah, a nice little insurance policy. So I like I said, Baker Mayfield has the best opportunity out of all those quarterbacks we just named to be a quarterback that you look at and you're like, I can see him starting for this team for the next 3 years. And Bill's saying, I'll write a bench all year for $6 million a year.
Yeah. I'll write a lot of things for $6 million. No, I'm kidding.
So I was like, just a bench?
The last one I'll say is Jared Stidham signed the 2-year contract for $10 million with the Broncos. That includes $5 million guaranteed, which is actually worth noting that Sean Payton came in and developed Plan B. You know what I mean? Like he didn't just say like, "Hey, we're gonna go with Russ," and not even. He's like, "Why go get a Jared Stidham unless you're." Developing Plan B. So like you said, these are insurance policies, and I just wanted to throw Jared Stidham in because it's a guy Sean Payton actually believes in, and it'll be interesting to see what develops. Jared Stidham is not supposed to be a competition, but it could happen. It could happen. If Russ doesn't play good for the first 4 weeks, Sean Payton is the guy. It's not like when Nathaniel Hackett was here, Russ was always going to start no matter what. If Sean Payton doesn't like it, Jared Stidham's going to come in for Russell Wilson. I just wanted to throw that out there before we move on from quarterbacks.
Yeah, and the thing, I don't see that happening, but like you said, Sean Payton doesn't give a shit. So let's move on to the running backs. There's a few here that I took note of. First one, David Montgomery. Goes to the Lions. No longer a Bear. He went to the Lions. Stayed in the division.
Enemy.
He stayed in the division. And, when we were interviewing your brother Tyler for interview 32, we talked about the Lions being favored for the North, And I think Montgomery made a good decision going to the Lions. So I'm going to miss him, but the Lions got a good one. The other ones I want to mention, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. are back on the Dolphins, back with Mike McDaniel in that offense that used Mostert and Wilson very well because McDaniel was very familiar with them. So it's another move that's going to continue that offense in Miami that's going to just continue to propel them forward. So those are good moves there to re-sign Mostert and Wilson Jr. And the next one that I kind of had of note here, and Kyle's going to love this one when he gets back, is P. Ryan, running back from the Bengals last year, makes it to the Broncos this year. So the Broncos got P. Ryan, another good addition. You have Javonte Williams, right, coming back from that injury. So you got P.
He
Ryan
might not be. He might not be ready to his injury apparently was one of those that, from what we're hearing from doctors, manage expectations. Pure Ryan is probably going to be the starter week 1.
Oh, okay. So, and you guys got a good running back there because what he did last year with the Bengals was very impressive because I remember P. Ryan, I remember seeing him on the Bengals for 2-3 whatever years before that. And I think he may have been on another team. I don't remember. And I'm just kind of like, all right, well, this guy's kind of like an afterthought. And then last year, he really took that next step for the Bengals whenever Joe Mixon was kind of hurt or couldn't play, whatever the deal might be. He made a really, really good next step. So I think that was a good sign for you guys not knowing. And I didn't even know Javonte Williams wasn't going to start for the season opener. So even better signing for the Broncos.
Yeah, and he's also he's never passed, I think, 500 yards rushing in a season.
Oh, wow.
But he hasn't had an opportunity to be the guy for anybody yet. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good value for 2 years to $7.5 million for 2 years. It's a good value because you already know who he is, but you also there's a little room for him to boom. Yeah. And so once Javonte's healthy though, it's going to be kind of an RB2 situation, but every team needs a good RB2. If you ask me, you need to have a guy. He's a solid pass blocker. That's really important with your RB2. You have to be able to do all of the kind of the RB1 can be just like a purely athletic dude, in my opinion, but your RB2 needs to have all the fundamentals, pass blocking, just do the job of a running back. And in some cases, those RB2s end up becoming better than the RB1. Think of Tony Pollard and what he became in Dallas.
Yeah.
And that's another scenario. Like, where's Zeke going to go? He's going to go somewhere.
Exactly. Another guy out there, big name.
So, yeah, a lot of running backs moving around. None of them are huge. You said Devin Singletary, right? Did you mention him?
No, I didn't mention Devin Singletary to the Texans, which I mean, we haven't gotten to wide receivers yet, but we'll get into that later on who the Texans got rid of there. But yeah,
Mike
Singletary
Boone.
to the Texans.
They also got Mike Boone, who was with the Vikings, and Sean Payton was or George Payton, whatever, was the GM for the Vikings. Then he came to Denver as the GM. They got Mike Boone, and he's a pretty good pass catching back. So it looks like the Texans are just trying to, load up with different weapons. We have a pass catching running back. We have a pound it down your throat running back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then I was mid-sentence wondering how to say this differently. And I was like, I can't, so I'll just go with it. And then hopefully Rick won't interrupt me. And here we are. And then, but like the guy they had last year was going to, I think I wrote it down in Slack when I wrote down the who was it? The running back for the Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Algier. Algier set the rookie running back record for most rushing yards, and it made me think about the running back for the Texans. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank right now, but
he running back for the Texans.
Yeah, he was like one of the best running backs in the league last year.
Dude, I can't even remember right now. I'm gonna look him up. You keep talking.
Yeah. He's like definitely the guy though. And he would have, if he didn't get hurt, I think he got hurt like week 12 or something and didn't come back.
Dameon Pierce.
Yeah. So I think he would have broken the single season rushing record for the Texans, which I think is at like 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
So like these are just weapons. Like nobody has been traded in the running back market that is not just an extra weapon. Even Montgomery, he's not, in my opinion, like he's not coming in to be, Nick Chubb or, one of these. It's just, we want a weapon. We just want more weapons.
And so he's and that was that Jamal Williams went to the Saints, right? Like Jamal Williams, scored the most touchdowns of all running backs last year with the Lions, but he had a lot of like goal line type of touchdowns. But David Montgomery to the Lions is going to be the Jamal Williams type because he can, punch it in if he needs to. He can also shed tackles like a motherfucker. And you have DeAndre Swift there, who's more of the speedster guy. I think it's a good move for the Lions, but like you said, it's not like needle moving by any means. It just adds another like weapon in a sense. It's not, like you said, he's not in there to be Nick Chubb. He's in there to be the running back too, to make a difference when his name is called, right? So
yeah, like Zeke and Tony Pollard. Unless you're exactly, they both want to be paid RB1 money. It works perfect. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into some wide receivers here. The biggest one, I would say, two big ones. Let's talk about two big ones. Let's talk about the most recent one, and that's Brandon Cooks to Dallas. He just moves. He stays in state, but he moves to the Dallas Cowboys to give Dak Prescott another weapon. Michael Gallup last year got injured, and it really kind of just left CeeDee Lamb and maybe like one or two rookies. Dalton Schultz was someone who did also gain a lot from the Michael Gallup injury, but he's gone. So now they have to get him another weapon. Brandon Cooks is a guy who is 100% has been unhappy in Houston. He wanted out last year during the trade deadline, but they couldn't trade him. So Brandon Cooks to Dallas. What did you like this move? I mean, obviously Brandon Cooks did, but what did you think about this one?
The Cowboys move for Brandon Cooks has put a spotlight on one of the worst trades in franchise history. And that you're like, okay, so you don't like it?
No, I love the way you started that.
Amari Cooper.
Yes.
Amari Cooper was there. Now you
Yep.
tell me that you have Amari. Now, who did they bring in? Their tight end Schultz. They have Schultz. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Schultz, Amari Cooper, C.D. Lamb, Mike Gallup, right? Was
Michael Gallup, yep.
There.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it's like, okay, yeah, Super Bowl, right? Who now say this. Say C.D. Lamb, Schultz, Brandon Cooks. Okay, sure.
Schultz isn't there anymore. You can't say Schultz.
Schultz, but I'm just saying, you had Amari Cooper on your team and you let him go. He had over 1,000 yards in Cleveland with Jacoby Brissett for most of the year.
And more than half, yeah.
Yeah, and then you bring in Brandon Cooks. It just, to me, okay, when you look at Brandon Cooks, let's see who he's played for. Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, maybe? Or Sean McVay, one of those guys. And at some point, if you play for all these best head coaches and none of them want to keep you, I'm just saying there might be something there worth talking about. Why is it that all these top tier head coaches don't want you on their team? And I just can't believe it. It's like you had Amari Cooper last year, and Amari Cooper is probably one of the purest route runners. Not only that, he's probably the best wide receiver coach that is a current player, and he's just a pure wide receiver, and he's a weapon, and you let him go, and now you're bringing in Brandon Cooks. I don't like it. I'm not like, I understand that it's the big wide receiver story of the day, but as far as like being, if I always try to picture if I'm a Cowboys fan, if I'm a Colts fan, how I feel about these trades. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I don't love this trade. It's whatever. It's like, maybe we can get Brandon Cooks playing at a high level. Maybe he won't be hurt. Maybe things will go good. But there's just so much maybes. If you're going to love something, there's got to be less maybes and more for sure's. And Brandon Cooks is not a for sure, in my opinion, anywhere that he's been.
Yeah, hey, we got KC in the chat.
KC
cheers.
Is in the chat. Cheers.
Cheers. And I don't know. I like it. It makes the offense for them a little bit better. But you're right. Why would you give up Amari Cooper? I mean, maybe you wanted more money. I don't know exactly what the issue is, but why would you do that? Take a weapon away from Dak when Dak is already kind of like, is Dak really that good? Like, obviously he got to the divisional round last year, but before that, where you were, a lot of people were questioning Dak. He got hurt. Cooper Rush came in. It seemed seamless with the offense with him. So you take another weapon away from him, and Dalton Schultz didn't really actually start until like 2020, and even then he was a decent tight end, right? But you take another weapon away from Dak Prescott, and I don't know. I just it makes sense from what you're saying, like the whole attitude of Brandon Cooks. I just think this is them making up for it. It really is that at the end of the day is them making up for that shitty trade, like you said. So,
falls short. It falls short.
It still does fall short, yeah, because I think they have to try to get another wide receiver, impact guy this draft. I think they have to make up for it. And if you're getting rid of Zeke, putting all your weight in Tony Pollard, right? Like to hope that he can recreate the season he had last year, you got to get a rookie. You got to get somebody else. So that was one of the wide.
It was. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to get into the other ones, but go ahead.
I was going to say it was the Rams, the Patriots, the Saints, the Texans, and now the Cowboys. He's been traded 4 times, which ties a record for most trades at his age. And It's just, you got to think all those coaches, those are top tier coaches, and they all moved off of him. Amari Cooper, when he got traded from the Raiders, it was like, oh my God, the world is falling. Why would you trade him? It was like when Devontae Adams got traded out of Green Bay. That is like the tell sign that you're a player. Like when DeAndre Hopkins finds his new home, whoever it is going to be doing somersaults and cartwheels. And it's just, no one's going to feel that way. Michael Gallup, I will say, is also, Mike Gallup is still with the Cowboys. So he did really good last year. So he's not, I just don't know who he's taking reps from. And they gave away I think a couple day 3 picks, but you could have used those and drafted like a speedster, maybe like the fastest wide receiver in the draft, and just got some kind of, weapon to use, like kind of like Debo or Tyreek, maybe a fast guy. I just don't know what his role is. It's not very clear to me what his role is going to be, because they already have Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. So I get it. They wanted one more guy, but I just felt like they could have drafted it.
I think they could have. And I think they had restructured his contract as well. The Texans did. They're going to pay, I think, half of his contract this year, and the Cowboys are going to pay the other half, something like that. So it was a whole restructuring thing.
T.Y. Hilton's still there, right? Or was that a 1-year deal? I'm pretty sure
no,
T.Y. Hilton's
they
still
picked
there.
him up. They picked him up middle of the season, remember? And I think it was just kind of like one of those. Like
wanted.
I think we were.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think we were like, oh man, T.Y. Hilton's gonna make an impact, and he made an impact in one game, and that was it.
Yeah, he only had 10 targets, though. So I mean, 7 receptions, 10 targets. I mean, he caught
really
most of them.
Much.
T.Y. Hilton is says he's still active for the Cowboys.
We'll
Do
see.
the Cowboys know that? He's just gonna show up to like training camp, be like stretching, be like, "You all ready to run it back?" He'd be like,
do you remember that meme of the guy going up to the building and scanning his key card?
Oh, and it's like access denied.
Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, he's like, man, I must have gotten cut.
or the quarterback that dressed up as a reporter and was like interviewing people. Do you remember that? Who was that? That was Case Keenum.
Case Keenum did it. Yeah, he did it a couple. Yeah, it was funny.
That's gonna be T.Y. Hilton.
A couple other big names. We had Alan Lazard signing to the Jets. Pretty much a move that we talked about earlier about Aaron Rodgers, going to the Jets. Not going to the Jets, but saying he's going to play with the Jets. Basically in line with that, we had Juju Smith-Schuster signing to the Patriots, and we had Jacoby Myers signing to the Raiders. And if you remember correctly, Jacoby Myers signing with the Raiders, NFL conspiracy theory, when he did that lateral pass and let the Raiders win that game in the fourth quarter, I think it was like week 17 or 18 or something like that. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's like a tie game and you could have gone in overtime. I don't know if you remember that one, but it was one of the craziest games ever.
That was the Patriots.
Yeah, no, Jacoby Myers was on the Patriots last year.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Alan Lizard.
No. Alien Lizard. He did that to the Raiders. The Raiders, what did the Raiders do? They signed him. That's NFL conspiracy right there.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. They were like, dude, people are serious about that stuff, and I just think it's so funny. It's like I have my conspiracy theories, but they're never like, oh, my bad. I do have my conspiracies, but I think some of them are. If it's like, it's not going to be that bold, man. It's not going to be like, do you know how much had to go right, even if he threw that ball? So for the defender to catch it and stiff arm him and run in, it's just like, or the fact that the pitch had to happen at the exact moment, that it happened. And it's just like, what do you
who
call
did he
it?
stiff arm? He stiff arm Mac Jones. That was so funny.
Yeah, I stiff arm Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Mac Jones has just looked like a playing out of his league. He just sat down pretty much. But it's just like,
He's like,
dude, whenever the amount of things that have to go right are, in the 0.01 percentile, I'm like, stop with the conspiracy. Like, do you know how hard that moment would have been to create? You need Ramondre Stevenson to be in on it because he had to pitch it to Jacoby Myers, whatever.
So many things that happen.
It just kills me to see it.
What do you think about that alien lizard?
I think it's a good sign for the Aaron Rodgers thing. I feel like that's all anyone really cares about right now is waiting on that news. So if I see this and I'm a Jets fan, it's a really good thing because if Aaron Rodgers did say this is what I would like to have for my transition, and they're going down the list, that's a good sign, right? I mean, so I also think Garrett Wilson is, a top receiver already, even though he's young, and you add another dude. I mean, like we said, he's not a wide receiver 1, but he could be a wide receiver 2. And with Aaron Rodgers there, who knows if he might be like back to being around Garrett Wilson, young, competitive. He might raise his play a little bit. I think it's a great move. I would stop right there though, because that list doesn't entirely make sense. It's like some of those players you're like, Jordy Nelson, he's living on a farm. There's a really funny short by Tom Grassi where he's like, the Packers have released, or Aaron Rodgers has released his list of wants, and then it like goes to the Jets and they're like, all right, let's hear it. And it's like Alan Lazard. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we could do that. And then he like keeps going down and he was like, Jordy Nelson. He's like, he's on a farm. And then like, he's like Marquise, he just keeps going down and it gets weirder and weirder. And then the Jets owner, him dressed up as the Jets owner goes, how are we going to make this possible? And then the Packers owner's wearing sunglasses in the corner. He's like, this is your first time here? Like it's hilarious.
Get ready for the whirlwind roller coaster that is Aaron Rodgers. I love it.
This is where I would just draw the line. Be like, maybe Randall Cobb for morale, but I'm not going to, you don't need a bunch of dudes. Like, I do think it's important to get guys that are, his dudes around him. Like when Tom Brady came, what did he do? He brought Gronk right away. He's like, I need, like, Randall Cobb is the equivalent to Aaron Rodgers' Gronk. That's like his closest. That's why when he walked off Lambeau, he put his arm around him. We watched that live on TV together after that game. So yeah, bring him a couple, people that are going to make him feel like he's at home, but Alan Lazard is probably the one that made the most sense. So off the bat, I think it's a great signing for the Jets.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring Donald Driver if you want to.
Greg Jennings,
Greg Jennings, fuck it, bring them all.
AJ Hawk.
Let's talk about one last thing, and that as far as like free agents and signings and stuff before we get into our sleeper free agent signings. Lamar Jackson, he gets the a non-exclusive tag, and no other team has offered him anything yet. We've talked about Lamar Jackson pretty much, I think, as much as Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what, and I think we've said this before, there's a reason why he's not getting offers, why the Ravens haven't paid him the amount that he wants, and the market is literally telling him right now, dude, you're not worth it. And you've said it before, right? Like, we made clips about it. We talked about it. It's like, look, your parents, this goes for a lot of people out there, your parents think you're special. You're not $250 million special, guaranteed special, right? Like there's just the market is setting the price for Lamar right now by keeping quiet. Now, we talked about, the Colts trading away or cutting, trading away Stephon Gilmore, and Ginger said it too. Maybe we're just clearing clearing some cap for Lamar Jackson. And that may very well be true. The Colts may be making some room, and that's why they're trying to, move some pieces before they can really make a splash. And in a sense, not give the Ravens the option to match the offer sheet that they're going to give him. With all that being said, Kyle, for me, I think he suits up as a Raven next season. But what do you think with all the stuff that's been going on, not only with the Colts, but other teams that are maybe interested and maybe should be going for Lamar Jackson, as well as the Ravens and Lamar?
I think now I know nothing, but my opinion is that he'll be a Texan. And I think
what? No.
I think the price tag of the first, what is it? They have the first overall pick, the second. So okay, so you're trading either Kyler Murray. You're trading C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young for Lamar Jackson. Okay, that is like potentially a thing that I would listen to, and then you're also not paying him. You're going back into a rookie window where you can continue to build. Like, obviously, the Ravens are obsessed with not dishing out a lot of money, maybe a good amount, but not $250 million. And Lamar said he didn't ask for that. But obviously, if he wasn't asking for an absurd amount of money, it would have been done by now. So we don't have to sit here and be like, he didn't say $200 million. Who cares? Whatever he said, it's a lot because it's not done. So I think the Texans are a realistic place for him. But I'll also say this. I talked about how the owners are kind of just one big family. Besides maybe Ron Schneider, who is Dan Snyder, who's like outcasted. Is it Ron Schneider, the actor?
Rob Schneider is the actor,
yeah. Oh my God! In our world, we have Ron Schneider and
Rob Schneider is
Adam Sandler.
Dan Snyder in.
It's almost like I had friends. My parents would never do this, but I had friends who, if they got, let's say they got busted and the cops caught them stealing, the parents would say, take them to jail, to teach them a lesson. There's a chance that the other owners got around and heard about what Lamar is asking for. And the owner said, take him to jail, make his non-exclusive tag, and we'll show him that nobody's going to do it. I don't think the Ravens would have done this if there weren't some type of comfort or some type of conversation like with the other owners, like, hey, just so you know, we're not going to like come in and pay him $250 million guaranteed. We'll teach him a lesson. And probably a bunch of teams that already have. There's not many teams that don't have a quarterback figured out. So there's the Colts and the Texans and the Panthers and Atlanta and the Commanders. So that's pretty much it, which the Commanders is a place that I feel like Lamar, it's not too far away. It's like an hour. You could stay in the same home, for crying out loud. So a lot of people don't realize how close Baltimore and DC are. It's like super close. So anyway, I think that I think it's not going to happen with the Ravens. I just feel like too much has happened. There has to be a deal. He is, imagine how long he's been asking for this money and how much resentment has continued to build. He's taking pictures with fans that have signs that say pay Lamar outside of the game, running off the field, stopping, finding the sign, taking a selfie with the guy. This is a huge deal. It's a huge distraction. I'm not even sure if they get into this, this pissing contest with Lamar, if the Ravens are going to want him. So what do? Get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Why not? Why
Makes
not
sense.
get yourself out of this situation and go ahead and get yourself somebody that's maybe as athletic as Lamar Jackson and C.J. Stroud? To me, that is like the only out. And sometimes it's not about the ideal situation, but there's only one out. that makes sense. And to me, that's like the one swap that makes sense to me. The other ones, it's almost worth just dealing with Lamar and letting him play another year. But if a realistic, scenario that I feel like the Ravens would accept would be that pick from the Texans.
Yeah, that's one that I hadn't even considered. So I'm glad you brought that up. And that does make sense because, again, you give an opportunity to a team like the Texans to make a deal for him, give him the money that he wants. And you don't necessarily have to match it if you don't want, but you get those first-round picks. And that first-round pick from the Texans is the number 2 overall pick. That means, like you said, you start brand new. And that frees up a lot of money for the Ravens organization to bring in other weapons, to draft other weapons. And you kind of start all over in a sense, right? And I feel like, yes, you lose Lamar, but you also get a fresh start. Now, again, obviously with that, you run the risk of C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson really not working out one bit whatsoever. But if you're in this situation with a quarterback, it's almost like maybe you do want to run that risk.
Think about
and
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say just as the organization, but maybe not as a fan.
Yeah, I got excited because Lamar was picked like 31st. He was, I think, the last pick in the first round out of red team Louisville.
Louisville,
I think. Yeah. So I mean, look, you're trading your 31st pick for a first. Now Lamar Jackson could have his best days behind him, and that is another thing that you got to consider. So that it comes down to money too. So 6 hours ago, the Texans paid Laremy Tunsil $75 million for 3 years. So he broke history with the highest paid tackle in NFL history. So that is something to consider. Like, okay, that doesn't sound like a contract you give when you're gearing up to make Lamar the highest paid quarterback. But the Colts, they're picking number 4. Is 4 high enough? I don't know. I'm not sure. But when I look at the Texans owner, they had Deshaun Watson for a while. And I think the closest thing to Deshaun Watson, especially in that era, was Lamar Jackson. So could I see them kind of doing that, Deshaun Watson for Lamar Jackson swap? I could. And the Colts, I know Jinja's probably wondering, like, what about the Colts?
He's like, please, the Colts, please.
I don't think it's crazy to think because what is the draft order now that the Bears moved down? It's the Panthers, number 1, right? And then number 2 is the Texans. You there?
3 is the Cardinals.
Okay, 3 is the Cardinals. And then 4 is the Colts. So, yeah, I mean the Cardinals aren't taking a quarterback. So 4 might be fine. But the thing is if Carolina and the Texans both take a quarterback, now the Colts are making this trade, and it's for who? Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? So
and also the Cardinals have an opportunity to trade back as well. They could trade to the Seahawks.
You're saying they could trade back with the Seahawks? The Seahawks are going to take a pass rusher for sure, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my take on it. I just wanted to throw that out there for Jinja. It's like I could see the Colts making sense, but if the Texans are offering the same thing and you get your Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, of course they're going to go through that door, not the money.
For sure. Again, we'll keep you guys updated on everything that happens. Dude, I'm really hoping one day while we're live on Mondays that we have some like crazy news break, so that way not only do you get it off Twitter first, but you get to hear it only football, because that would be so big for us. I was I was really, really hoping like some Aaron Rodgers news or some Lamar news would happen right as we were recording this.
We got to go live at like 10 a.m. for that.
I know, right? We really do. All right, real quick, Kyle, let's go to our free agents. Kind of just bang through them real quick. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so my sleeper free agent signings, and we're kind of going through this, just taking 3 free agent signings that we think didn't really make too much noise, but are going to be, they're going to really pan out or be very good additions to their new teams next year. The first one I'm going with is David Montgomery to the Lions. Now, a lot of people were wondering, well, if Jamal Williams left, why aren't you maybe drafting a rookie running back or elevating someone from the practice squad for the Lions instead of taking David Montgomery? David Montgomery adds another I guess, like element to this team as far as the running back. He was very good with the Bears. He's someone who sheds a lot of tackles. DeAndre Swift is more of a speedster kind of guy. And David Montgomery is going to bring kind of what Jamal Williams brought last year, is that like guy who's going to just break through that line and score some touchdowns and get those yards on a 3rd and 1, a 3rd and 2, something like that, right? So very, very good move by the Lions, and he went from the Bears to the Lions, so it is kind of an inside the division type of move. Something that the Lions did with the Vikings last year with T.J. Hawkinson. The next one is kicker Matt Gay to the Colts. Ginger's gonna like this one. The Colts have not had a good kicker for a while. Ever since Adam Vinatieri left in like 2019, Blankenship was there. He got cut last year. Matt Gay to the Colts brings at least some sort of reliability at kicker. 60 out of 64 field goal attempts he made last year with the Rams the past 2 seasons. The last 2 seasons, not last year, the last 2 seasons with the Rams. So he brings a stability to the kicking part of the game for the Colts. And then my third one is going to be Dalton Schultz to the Texans. We talked about him a little bit earlier with the Cowboys. He wasn't necessarily the number 1 option there. And now with Brandon Cooks gone, Dalton Schultz looks to be the number 1 passing option in Houston to whoever the quarterback might be there. He's caught 63 passes for 615 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2020. And then in 2021, went 78 catches, 808 yards, 8 touchdowns in 2021. Last season's stats weren't as great, but he still got potential to do that. And again, that's more or less because he wasn't the number 1 passing option, and injuries also happened to him last year. So my 3 sleeper picks as far as free agents go to David Montgomery, Matt Gay, and Dalton Schultz. Kyle, let's hear yours.
Okay, so I'm liking the Mike Gesicki to the New England Patriots. So I'm looking at the track record of Bill O'Brien, and he had I'm trying to remember his name when he was the head coach for the Texans. The Texans were relevant. They had Andre Johnson. They had a good friend of my dad,
O'Brien?
Kevin Walter, was Bill O'Brien was the head coach for like 6 years there.
Yeah.
He was a good wide receiver too, but then they had that tight end. I think it's something like Schultz. I'm trying to remember.
I can't think. Yeah.
But anyway, he knows how to make the most out of his offensive weapons. And I think the whole thing last year with the Patriots secretly not telling you who's going to call the offense, and then you have what's his name, the quarterback for the Patriots, dude does the gritty. What the hell?
Oh my God, the quarterback that does the gritty. Which one is that?
For the Patriots, they're starting quarterback out of Alabama. Mac Jones, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have Mac Jones calling around trying to see if they can get some help. And that's just how dysfunctional it was. So they bring in Bill O'Brien, and I expect the offense to be a lot better. And what are they doing? They're actually signing people that are good. This is a big deal for the Patriots. They don't sign DeAndre Hopkins type people, but they're doing what they do again. They're signing James Robinson and Juju Smith and Mike Gesicki. Now they're doing that again, where they get these guys that are affordable, and I like it. It looks like they're gearing up to contend to be a playoff team, to be honest. So I think the Mike Gesicki thing on paper may not jump off the page, but Mike Gesicki was a really solid tight end for the Dolphins, and I think he's going to even be better with the Patriots. And I think, did they also move off? They also kept Hunter Henry, right? So
no, Hunter Henry is in he's in
Minnesota.
He's on the Chargers.
Man, so many moving pieces.
Oh no, wait, did he go to the Patriots? Now I gotta look it up because I'm fucked up.
No, he was on the Patriots. He was on the Patriots.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was.
I'm so stupid.
It's fine, dude. I guarantee, like everyone listening is probably thinking the same thing. Yeah, so he was really decent last year when he had over 500 yards. 41 receptions on 59 targets. That's pretty good. And he had 2 touchdowns. My point is now you have Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. So now you have a 2 tight end kind of situation. Mike Gesicki is probably the better wide receiver, but Hunter Henry is a really good all-around tight end. I mean, not crazy good, but he's definitely a piece that they can keep building off of. He was picked, second round, 35th overall pick, so early second round. And I felt like he just kind of came into his form last season. And that might have been because Mac Jones was a rookie, but I wouldn't sleep on the addition of Mike Gesicki. I think that is going to be a good fantasy football pick if you're looking for a tight end and you realize that Darren Waller and those 4 are gone. Mike Gesicki might save your ass next season. So
there you go.
I like that one. And then another sleeper, this is going to be surprising, but Mike White. I like Mike White a lot because I thought that if the Patriots weren't going with a Canadian football quarterback against the Bills, that they could have won. And with Tua being the most, I don't want to say unpredictable, but he is, if there's one quarterback you had to say their health is up in the air, it would be Tua because of the concussions. Who knows? Like, if he gets one concussion, is he even allowed to play for the rest of the year? I don't know the rule on that.
Exactly.
But I do know
he's had so many.
He's had so many, and I do know the more frequent they happen, the longer you wait. So I don't know what if he should even keep playing if he keeps getting them for whatever reason. He's just had a lot of bad luck with it. Maybe it's his size. I don't know. But what I do know is if they can make it back to the playoffs, and I expect they will, because Mike McDaniel showed that he is a really, really good head coach. And the way he had his team prepared to play with a third-string quarterback at Buffalo in that environment was really impressive. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they still have, the addition of Bradley Chubb. They just brought in, who did they bring in? Jalen Ramsey. So it just looks to me like they're gearing up. And this Mike White trade this is the deal. If Tua can't play, Mike White is going to lead us into the playoffs. And we feel good about that. And I think that the Miami Dolphins made a good move by getting somebody that can take over the helm of things if Tua has to leave. So that's huge. Because I do feel like you will see Mike White play next season. And
like you said, it's almost become like who can we get that, and it's really sad to say this, but when it either gets another concussion or gets hurt again, like it sucks to say that, but it just seemed like one of those things that is bound to happen. So
totally.
We'll see.
And then my favorite, it was two sleepers in the favorite. My favorite is Orlando Brown to the Bengals, because you had Cincinnati, who spent all this money boosting up their offensive line last season. And then you go into this season, offensive line's not really even a thought. And then they go and get Orlando Brown because it just wasn't.
Yeah.
They realize Joe Burrow is a pure quarterback, and pure quarterbacks don't rely on their legs that much. They know if they, with their arm and their ability to read defenses, they'll cook you up just like Manning did. And what do you need? If you have a guy that is going to be a pure quarterback, you need to have an O-line like the Chiefs had. And this guy literally came from the Chiefs. He was probably the best offensive tackle last season. And I just feel like Joe Burrow, that's exactly what they could have given him to take his game to another level.
Love it. Love it. All right, well, those were our sleeper picks and a couple of our favorites. We also had Tyler come in the chat. Tyler, what's going on? He says, hey, Kyle, by the way, not sure if you saw, Jordan Love, Watson, Dubs, and Aaron Jones are working out together in Cali already, getting that chemistry down. Love it. So, Tyler, make sure to tune into our interview 32 with the other Tyler when we talk Packers, actually. So tune into that, and everybody else tune into that. Want to give a huge shout-out to not only Tyler, but Bill, Casey, Jinja. We had John in here. We had Eric in here. We also had Liam in here. We had one or two other people. I do random stuff. So good, thanks everybody for coming in and joining us for today's episode of Only Football. We hope you enjoyed it, even through my internet issues. And if you're listening on podcast, I'm sorry I cut out there for multiple times. I apologize. So I'm sorry about that. And Casey had said we need a fundraiser for Rick's Wi-Fi bandwidth. I wouldn't mind that. So I'll promise you guys next time we'll polish it up. This is on me. This is not on Kyle. This is on me. We're going to bring you a much more polished product next time. So, but thank you guys all for joining us today in the comments. And again, if you are watching here on YouTube or anything else, check out our QR code here at the top left of the screen where you can support us. And the link is in the chat and it's going to be in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube, checking out on Spotify, Apple, whatever you're listening and watching us on. The link will be there to support us. Get Kyle and I to Vegas. We're going to try to look into a subscription-based type of thing for those of you guys that prefer it that way, but unfortunately PayPal doesn't do that. But again, go support us. And Kyle, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me at FTBLONLYPODCAST, Football Only Podcast. I also just recently developed an Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing yet, so you're going to have to give me time. I'm just how I was this time last year with Twitter. I'm going through that right now.
I don't know experiment. I love it.
Yeah, brand new experiment. I will keep you up to date with it. It's a lot, but I'm diving right in.
Love it. Love it. You could follow me at @andnowrick on Twitter. Be, going on there, talking Bears, talking all sorts of stuff. Tony Football, what's up? Cheers. He's in the chat too. Thanks for joining us, man.
Tony.
Said great show, guys. Appreciate that. And you can follow the Star 6 Media Twitter @_Star6 Media. We're going to be bringing you a lot more stuff on our social medias. So not only Twitter, but go check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, on oh God, what am I thinking? TikTok. That's what I'm thinking, and Twitch. All that great stuff. We're going to be bringing you guys shorts, clips, posts, all sorts of good stuff. So go check us out. Feet pics. You're going to see Kyle's feet. They're terrible. They're disgusting, but someone out there likes them, and we're just going to get money off of that. So no longer only football. It's going to be only feet.
We're just gonna record, but we're just gonna have our feet where the camera is, and then we'll just pull the mics back, and then we'll make our feet squiggle when we're talking.
We're gonna do like the ASMR for.
We'll put eyeballs on the bottoms. Oh God! What a weird time to go out. I know. What a terrible time for me to black out there. Jesus Christ. Anyway, feet talk. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And don't forget to catch Kyle, Only Football with Kyle, on Wednesdays. And then our Thursday trivia shows
on Thursdays. So, go check us out. Remember, after trivia, we usually do a Q&A session, about 15-ish minutes with all you guys in the chat. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about us, definitely stay tuned to after trivia for that. And again, I keep forgetting to mention this. We're going to be doing our episodic interview 32 is what we're calling it, where we're going to try to interview a fan from all 32 teams from the NFL. So stay tuned for that. We will release those episodes on Sunday, depending on how many we get. If we get an interview that day, we've already got one. We've got another one planned this week. We'll see what happens for the rest of the week if we can get more, but we will try to be releasing them on Sundays for you guys. Just some more content from Kyle and I. Kyle, you excited for that, aren't you?
Oh yeah, so excited. I got a Dolphins fan ready to go. I'm talking a season ticket holder.
Let's go.
And yeah, if you guys are interested representing your team, let us know. If not, just sit back and enjoy the content.
Absolutely. All right, Kyle, give us the chives with Kyle.
The chives are, oh man, the chives.
Oh no.
It's been such a busy free agency day that there weren't chives prepared. You threw me off there, but I will say we are going to be doing a deep dive on the Only Football podcast with Kyle about Jimmy G and being a Las Vegas Raider and what to expect from him being back with Josh McDaniels. This is a big topic. Colin Cowherd said single Las Vegas Jimmy Garoppolo. Colin Cowherd is obsessed with single people. I think he wants weirdo, to be. Dude. He was such a weirdo, man. He's such a weirdo. He's just kind of like, yeah. Did you see who he's? Yeah, it's just like, dude, if you want to be single that bad, he's like living vicariously through Jimmy G. So we are going to dive into Jimmy G just in a different way than Colin Cowherd wants to dive into Jimmy G. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Colin Cowherd is such a weirdo. We're such an anti-Colin Cowherd podcast. There's so many things Colin Cowherd says that I just want to smack the shit out of him.
Oh my God, me too.
I probably wouldn't do that in real life, but I would be like, you're a dick, dude. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. No, he had a whole segment about Matthew Stafford was worth a first and Rodgers isn't. I'm like, I'm not.
What?
I'm not.
All right, whatever. We're not even going to get into it. Anti-Colin Cowherd podcast. But thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you next time. See ya!
See ya!